Hello, everybody. Happy Spooktober. Welcome to another episode of podcasting on PSP.
Podcasting over PSP.
Over PSP. Procrastinating, crippled.
Crippled? It's not the PCP.
God damn it!
PSP.
Procrastinating, Soverdue.
Soverdue?
Soverdue.
What does that mean?
Patron rewards.
Oh, okay. I understand now.
Yes.
Yeah, she says this because we're recording this on October 1st at 4 in the morning.
The least spooky day of October.
Us is morning, I think, right? This is the actual morning for us.
Well, I mean, it's literally the actual morning. For me, it is an ambiguous gray area in which I am moving forward through at an accelerating velocity, confused and scared.
Yeah. We have been sleeping at the most random times lately. It's kind of like there was that day that we woke up at midnight and we talked about that and how wrong it was. And
it felt icky.
And ever since then, it has not stopped. And it's been like just weird, random awake and asleep times. It's hard to tell what day it is at a given moment.
Which makes things, incredibly confusing for classes. Because a lot of my assignments and stuff are due at 9 p.m. on the day. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that's when the professor's like, that's the end of the day for most people. Most people get off the internet at 9 o'clock. My lady, that's when I'm getting on the internet. So, I just have to account for the fact that, due dates I should just in my mind move back a day.
Yeah.
Something's due on the 3rd, it's really due on the 2nd.
Well, good luck. Have fun with that.
I will. I'm glad we're getting some of these done in bulk, because that just means I have more time to work on the, all the papers that I have to do this week, since this week is very paper heavy.
I kind of wanted to get as many of these done as possible before we released any of them, so that I could figure out okay, how fast can we record these, and what would be the good release schedule for them? Because I'm thinking twice a week.
I think that'd be best.
It would flood my channel.
Overkill. It's over an hour-long podcast. Most people don't have time for that more than once a week. But your fans are exceptions to the rule.
Well, with regards to the overdue patron content, something that
hey, maybe they won't even be overdue by the time this gets released.
What? How?
If this comes out a week from now.
Oh, you mean by the time this gets released? You're right.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, they should be probably a lot of them should be done by then, but no missions available. What are you looking at?
Twitter.
We're in the middle of doing a show. You're looking at Twitter?
You're not doing any gameplay.
I have to go through all these cutscenes and shit before I can get there. Look at this bitch.
She has resting bitch phase for sure.
Anyway, with regards to all the patron awards, it's funny because
oh, that girl's kinda alright.
Anything I post on the channel is this is for on some level this is for everybody who follows me. Every single person who likes Digibro. This content is for them. Whereas patron exclusive content is only for the people who are paying for it. But those people are also first and foremost paying for main channel Digibro content.
Yes, but there are, a lot of them who are just paying for the rant.
There are people who are only giving as much as they're giving because they are going to get something more out of it. I would, in fact,
say that that's most the people who are giving you $15 a month.
I mean, I would say that's true. But it's also if I were to ask someone individually, would you rather get your rant or the next big Digibro video? Which do you think is more important to you? I think most people would say that the next big Digibro video is more important to them.
I think they just would like a rant within the month. And since your patron rewards were late last time,
no, they weren't.
What?
My patron rewards weren't late last time.
What are you talking about?
They weren't. Not the rants. They were all on time. They were all done before the end of the month last month.
Well, I mean, you say that, but I'm sitting here looking at a stack of art cards from the care pack for last month.
Oh, are you thinking of it as You mean, like, I mean, I guess it's October now, and that's how you're thinking of it? I'm thinking of it in terms of September versus August. By the end of August, all of the August rants were done.
Yes.
By the end of September, this was not the case.
No.
So if that's what you're referring to.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, I'm looking at the August art cards.
Yes. Those are there.
Yes. Just saying.
Most people don't know what an art card is.
Well, if they gave you $40 a month, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Give or take a month after expected release.
Oh my god, it's the main character from Phantasy Star Universe!
I like how his sweater is like
open at the bottom?
Open at the bottom.
What is going on there? God, all these characters are so hideous. I can't believe they actually voiced all this shit.
Right.
Good lord.
I bet Monica Rial has like 6 roles.
So, I think you basically, you don't watch dubs. Do you think you could have named a single dub actor before the Vic Mignogna drama started?
The one with the big titties, the big fake titties.
Tara Strong?
Yes, her and also Christina V, right?
Is she the one who was at the Crunchyroll Awards? Yeah.
I think I'd be able to know who those people are.
By voice?
Because they have big fake... Well, I could just... With Tara Strong, I think I probably could. Just because she's literally voiced everything from my childhood.
She is the voice of
We found out she's the voice of Pixel Chicks.
Yes.
I don't know if any of you are, you know, we're growing up girls at the end of the 2000s, the 2000s.
The double O's.
Yeah.
The aughts, as some people call them.
Yes, the years we most, probably most of us would like to forget. That era, you know, Tamagotchi had come and gone, but there still was like a weird gap where technology was still kind of jank and shit. We didn't have smartphones yet. And there were these things called Pixel Chicks, which were basically like Tamagotchis, but they were hot chicks, but they were not hot chicks because they were pixels. And you could play with them, you could, you know...
It's
the
like,
coolest thing about them is they were in houses, and you can link them up with other people's Pixel Chicks, but like...
When you say they were in houses, what you mean is you would receive a plastic toy of a house, like a small dollhouse, basically, except that instead of being able to go inside of it, there's a screen on the front of it, and the Pixel Chick lives inside. So inside of this little box, there are like real plastic pieces, like a real dollhouse, except that the screen is in such a way that the character will move in front of or behind certain objects that are inside your little house thing. Mm-hmm. So it's like weirdly convincing that she's there, in spite of the fact that she's completely all black pixels and like looks like a Game Boy game.
Yeah, but I mean, there's other pixeled assets in the world. Like, you can get a pet. They have like toys and stuff, and sometimes they'll bring their boyfriends over.
Oh my god, they have boyfriends?
Yeah, and they'll like leave the house and go do things, and it's just like, it's really weird.
You ever feel cucked by your Pixel Chick?
No, I don't think I've ever felt that way. Mainly because it's voiced by Tara Strong. And I just wanted it to stop making sounds.
As soon as we were... Because you showed me the trailer for it, and I was like, this voice sounds really familiar. And I had to go down to the comments, and sure enough, Tara Strong was listed as the voice. And I was like, that fucking makes sense. That's why it's a voice I would recognize instantly.
Yes. Sometimes when you're sitting alone in a quiet room, you just are randomly reminded of, pick something. And you sit there... And you wonder why you live in this era where these things have poisoned your mind and your cognition.
We are completely 100% absorbed. Like, you and I have these moments sometimes where we're like, literally, what the fuck do you do that doesn't involve looking at a screen? Like, what is there to do in this world on a day-to-day basis? Like, it's one thing to go out and do something, right? It's like, oh yeah, you know, you could go somewhere and do something. It's like, well, that's not something you do every day, right? Like, who has the money to go out and do something every day? What do you do on the day-to-day if you don't want to stare at a screen all day?
this particularly arose because I was doing a lot of homework and, you know, just doing a lot of stuff on my computer, and my eyes hurt. And, like, you know, you could say things like, oh, you could read a book, but that does not really solve the fact that your eyes are hurting. It's kind of like, well, what did people do where they weren't, like, squinting? Like, back in the day, people didn't have lights. Like, what did they do at night?
They went to bed.
Yeah.
They slept when it was dark.
It's interesting
and they
because,
were up when it was awake.
There's a lot of literature out there suggesting that people used to have 2 sleeps a night. That, like, back before people had candles and stuff, and we're living in, like, probably medieval era and, like, into, like, the Renaissance period, I think. And maybe even a little bit later than that, like, in the Age of Exploration kind of time. I don't really know. I didn't really, you know, think about that hard. But people would go to bed with their children after they ate. And then in the middle of the night, usually around, like, midnight or 1, the adults would wake up and then use that time to fuck and eat and eat 4th meal. And then Taco Bell was invented.
You're gonna need to check on the historical veracity of this story.
I've read a couple articles, but I don't know what the era was. I just feel like it probably was, you know, back in the day.
Well, that's fascinating. Yeah, it's like you know, I figure most people just work jobs that don't have them looking at a screen all day.
That's not
Even
true.
Still, most...
If you're at a cubicle, if you're working out behind a register, you're constantly staring at a screen that's, like, not made to be looked at.
Yeah.
Like, you look at it and it's like, why are these the most harsh colors that, like, could possibly exist in the smallest, shittiest new coyer print? Like, why am I being forced to look at this?
Yeah, but there are lots of jobs that don't require you to look at a screen.
Name one job that doesn't require you to look at technology.
My old Target job as a flow
You didn't have a My Device?
No.
Because at Target now, they have these things called My Devices, which basically are like the database where you scan an item and it'll tell you exactly where in the store you have to put it.
Yeah, we did not come equipped with those.
Yes, everybody had My Devices at my store.
Only the managers had that.
Oh, because, like, when I was working at Target, you would go in the storeroom and there's, like, a fucking wall of 100 My Devices and, like, pallet scanners and stuff. I would consider those, because the My Devices are just iPhones. Mm-hmm. They're just, like, an iPhone. They run an iOS. It's really fucking weird. But, like, that absolutely is looking at a screen.
Yeah. No, we didn't do that at all, though. We would just
I just feel like technology, like, around. You know, if you're a waitress, a lot of them use a tablet.
I mean, there's a huge difference between looking at a tablet when you're taking somebody's order and then, you know, looking away from it to move around the store.
Certainly.
And, like, sitting at a desk looking at a computer
but I mean,
day.
It's just, like, it's to tell you how I feel about it is just, like, most jobs do involve you spending a substantial amount of your time and looking at a screen. Like, even if you're a cashier, you're looking at the computer monitor. If you're doing any kind of, like, stock at a store, you might have, like, a My Device type of thing that you're using as reference. Like, it's just, it has proliferated, like, every single, like, part of the workforce. Like, every job basically requires you to work with some form of technology. It may not be that you're looking at a computer screen, but you are expected to know how to use technology. I'm just wondering,
are we going to end up at a point where everybody's wearing glasses? Like... Are we all gonna fuck up our eyes?
Well, I think, you know, the future will probably give us, like, you know, eyeballs that are embedded with, like, an overlay.
Yeah, you
and
think
we'll
we're all
be
gonna
wired in.
You think we're all gonna be
We're all gonna have cyborg eyes, for sure. For sure. Give it, like, 50 years. I think we definitely will, like, the wearables will have become integrated into ourselves. I think it's gonna start with the Google Glasses, those types of things. Like, people are gonna be like, oh, I need glasses because they fucked up my eyes looking at computer screens too much. And then they're just like, we have a solution for you.
I mean, the Google glasses were not actual glasses, right?
No, I know. But we have a solution for you. You can now just only wear computer screens over your eyes.
Yeah.
And people are like, fuck yeah.
Fuck eyes. I don't even need these things.
I mean, we're evolving at an increasing rate where people are needing glasses.
What? What do you mean by evolving?
I mean... Okay, so you would think natural selection would have improved our eyesight as a society. But the actual opposite has, been proven to be true. People have been needing glasses at, I don't know if it's an increasing rate, but, like, people need glasses. There's lots of people who are, like, legally blind, and I don't think that society could have operated at the scale that it would need to if most people were legally blind, So I think that there may be, like, more people who are legally blind now than ever before.
Are you saying that we are evolving to have worse eyesight?
I don't know if we're evolving so much so as the technology is fucking up our eyes.
Oh, that's what I would have thought. You said evolving in the first place.
I also think that we are not evolving to have improved eyesight. We do not value having good eyesight.
We have no way of knowing what we would be evolving towards, because it takes,
this is what I'm trying to say. Girls will fuck guys with bad eyesight.
Yes, that's
but
true.
Like, if we needed our eyesight to be perfect, if there wasn't things to help us correct our eyesight,
I'm just saying,
people would not fuck those blind people.
It takes like thousands of years for any new mutation.
No,
or evolution
but eyesight isn't like that.
Like,
it's like if your parents both have fucked eyesight, you will have fucked eyesight.
Is it like that?
Yeah. It's like your chances of having fucked eyesight like increase rapidly. It's not like just I don't think it's really a mutation even, but it might be. I don't know. It's just one of those things that, like, why haven't we improved this naturally, biologically? Why have we continued to select mates with shit eyesight?
Well...
It's because it doesn't matter, because we have, glasses to fix it.
Maybe.
But, what if we had the internet in our eyes?
What if we had the internet in our eyes? It would be different, that's for sure. Oh, was that it? Did I win?
Oh, boy.
Did I win? Well...
I'm over here just, like, profusely sweating, thinking about cybernetic fucking enhancements.
I'm trying to remember what the various things we were discussing.
What part of your body would you get embedded with the internet if you could?
Just jack it right into my fucking skull.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to look at anything.
I wouldn't want it to be something I can remove from my body, honestly.
Wait, what? I can't hold anymore? Oh, I can't carry any items at all. Time to sell all these fucking muck
big,
pads.
I'm a sumo.
Pocket too big, they sumo. Money double up like a goddamn duo. I just want the yen and the euro. Fuck the game up. Something... I don't remember the next line.
So we finished Accelerator.
Oh yeah, thank God you finally remembered. The whole last episode was supposed to be about that, and I forgot. And then this episode was supposed to be about it, and I forgot again. How do I always forget these things?
Conversation just too good, or you just lost all mind capacity.
I think it's the latter for the most part. I mean, I felt weird all day. Like, we slept even more than usual because of the fact that I got a massive stomach ache after eating this big ass Zero sub, and then fucking
and you slept
nothing was okay
for hours.
Anymore. Yeah,
you went into a coma.
I did. I went into a food coma, but before I passed out into that food coma, we watched the rest of a certain scientific accelerator, which was ultimately better than I expected, I guess, is how I would describe it, right? What do you think of Accelerator?
I mean, I have never seen any of Railgun
or Index.
I don't really know. I know the gist of this franchise. I know kind of it's Esper's.
I mean, honestly,
science.
I think you have a pretty good sense of it after watching that show.
Definitely.
Because it's all kind of like that. Though the biggest thing that I would say was a major advantage of this season of Accelerator over Index or Railgun is that the entire season was one arc, which is definitely not how it is with those shows. Because, Index is a light novel series. So generally one light novel translates to, 3 to 5 episodes, as is typical of anime adaptations of light novels. Mm-hmm. So, usually the arcs are, it starts off with just everybody dicking around, hey, it's Index and Railgun, they're doing wacky stuff. And then some kind of villain or faction gets introduced, we start learning about all these crazy powers, and then it all escalates into, a big battle. And in the end, the main character guy punches somebody, and, everything's gravy. Then we move on to the next arc, and usually the characters from the previous arc make a return in the next arc, often as good guys, if they're not dead, So, that's the kind of formula of it. And then in Railgun, kind of starts off as, just a 4 girls, episodic show. It starts off more like a slice of lifey thing. And then it starts getting into, individual arcs where there's more, drama and, more index-esque storytelling. But it's still not, gigantic 12-episode arcs, Mm-hmm. And what I remember of the later episodes of Railgun, it just becomes a clusterfuck, a total clusterfuck. But the Accelerator anime, which is based on a manga, which Railgun is as well, seemed to just tell one contained story. There's hints towards what could be the second season at the very end, if they were to make more, which
I think they are.
I think they probably will.
I think it's been announced. I'm not sure, though.
No, they announced Railgun Season 3 for next year.
Yes.
So there's already been 3 seasons of Index. There's about to be 3 seasons of Railgun. And I will not be surprised if they continue Accelerator. Because it's a genius formula. They basically just... The nature of Index as a story is loose enough that, these side characters, Accelerator and Railgun, they have their own arcs within the Index story, but they're, by far the most popular characters from the Index story. Mm-hmm. So, just giving them their own shows and letting them have their own adventures that are basically the same fucking thing is,
just introducing a fuck ton of other unrelated characters.
Yeah.
With the impossible possibilities that the series kind of allows for.
Yes, because the idea of the series is that it takes place in the ultimate city of science, which is being invaded by magic, So it's any magic or science system you can feasibly fucking think of makes sense in this universe. As long as you don't break some of the basic rules, Mm-hmm. Unless you have a really good justification for doing so. So anyway...
I like that this level is all fall. It's very fitting.
Yes, we're on October 1st. This feels like an October level for sure.
We went outside and there was fucking orange shit on the ground. I was like, whoa.
It's happening. Even though it was hot as fuck today.
It's fucking gonna be 90 degrees this week. I'm tripping, guys. Yeah. Send help.
Anyway.
Send me shorts.
So, a certain scientific accelerator, the basic idea, and I guess you wouldn't have known anything about the character himself or Last Order, but I explained to you the basics, which is that in a certain magical index, the third arc of the show is the Railgun/Accelerator arc. And this arc is by far the most popular, partially because Railgun is everybody's fucking waifu, the character, Misaka. Mikoto Misaka. She is the Railgun. Because she's the third most powerful Esper in the city of Espers. Her thing is that she controls electricity, that she can flick a coin with the force of a railgun, hence the name. That's her special move, is that she'll flip a coin at you and it can pulverize through buildings, basically. It's insanely powerful. So, and she's also,
OP.
She's a middle schooler. She's just kind of an average tsundere-ish personality. Pretty generic character, honestly, but she's extremely fucking popular for some reason. So anyways, and most of it has to do with her arc, because the arc of Railgun is that she has been cloned over 10,000 times by the organization that is trying to push Esper powers to the absolute furthest they can go. And so they're running this experiment, basically, where they have Accelerator, who's the #1 most powerful Esper, going around murdering these clones en masse as a way of strengthening his power and just, practicing. So, because they're all clones of, the third most powerful Esper, I mean, they might not be as strong as she is, but, it's training for him to just chew through. And he has, at the time the arc begins, murdered over 10,000 clones, which is fucking insane. And this is why this series is known. is because it has stuff like that happen in it, you know?
Yeah.
Where you're just like, what the fuck? That's the craziest story idea I've ever heard in my life. What the fuck are you talking about? He killed 10,000 clones? So, in the actual arc, you know, main character guy beats his ass. Because even though Accelerator has by far the most powerful power, the main character has the power to negate all other powers. His right hand negates everything. So he has no real power in and of himself. He cannot, you know, he can't do anything other than block other people's powers, which, depending on how you look at it, is the best power. Except that it also gives him bad luck, and everything he touches, something bad happens to it. So anyways, in the wake of that arc, Accelerator and Misaka became the two most popular characters because of the whole 10,000 deaths thing, and Misaka's hot. People like generic tsunderes. So, you know, she got her own spin-off manga, and then later down the line, Accelerator also got his own spin-off manga. So that's how we got a certain scientific railgun and then a certain scientific accelerator. So the Accelerator anime... okay, well, there's the other important thing, is that in his later arc in Index, like, Accelerator comes back, and it's kind of implied that he's, like, a good guy now. He's, you know, he regrets what he did, murdering all those Misakas.
He's, like, in the hospital and, like, has to wear all this, like, shit.
Yeah. Well, that's all the result of I think, the second arc, and I barely remember this, because he like, after the Misaka arc, he has, like, a 2 or 3 episode arc later on into the first season of Index, where he comes back, and we learn about Last Order, who is basically the hive mind at the core of all the clones, I guess. Like, she's a clone as well, but she's like a small one. She's like a lolly, whereas the rest, I mean, Misaka's already a middle schooler, but she's like a little, even smaller one, you know? And, she seems to, I think, like, house the memories of all of them. In general, it's fucking strange. Mm-hmm. But Last Order ends up teaming up with Accelerator. And so basically he's
I don't know if she houses all of the memories, but, like, is able to, like, you know...
communicate with all of them or something like that.
Like, just...
She's part of a neural network.
Compile it all to, like, understand it. Because, like, the other clones also have all the memories.
Right. Do they have them through her, though? Is it like she's an access point? I have no fucking idea.
Maybe she's like a fucking server.
I'd have to rewatch the first season to fully understand it again, even if I could then. But, like...
She seems to use it as some sort of, like, emotional AI, like, all the memories.
Yeah, she's also the only one that has emotions, it seems. Like,
yeah.
I mean, they are, like, implied to have emotions, but they're just, like, heavily autistic, basically. Like, most of the Misaka clones act like robots. But Last Order acts like a...
Can Last Order grow? Was she like a baby who, like, grew up with the memories of the other ones? They were all
raised in tanks, I think. I don't fucking know, man. Index is crazy. So, like, in Accelerator, like, there has been, as I understand it, because I haven't watched Index seasons 2 or 3, and I didn't watch Railgun Season 2. I've only seen the first seasons of both Index and Railgun and, like, 5 episodes of Index Season 2. So I'm way behind. But, like, as I understand it, there have been other arcs with Accelerator and Last Order in them. Mm-hmm. But this spin-off series is, like, basically assuming that you know at least the first season of Index. You know, like, why these two are traveling together. And what their history is. That's all you need to know going into the new season, going into Accelerator. So I've already told you enough. Like, if you're curious about this show after we talk about it, and you've never seen any of Index, you could watch it just knowing as much as I've told you today.
Indeed, and you will enjoy it if it's your kind of thing. If you enjoy these things.
And if you enjoy it, you might as well watch the others, because they're pretty much all like this, you know? Like, the biggest difference with this is, again, just the fact that it was an entire arc, and the whole season was just one arc, you know? Mm-hmm. Which is unusual. It has its upsides and downsides, where, like, I really thought the first half of the arc wasted a lot of fucking time, or was just, like, it wasn't clear where it was going. if it was going anywhere interesting. It kind of is just like each episode introduces new characters with crazy powers, and then there's a big fight, you know? And, like, we know there's a conspiracy going on in the background which honestly, God, like, when I'm thinking back on it, it almost is 2 arcs, because the first half of the arc is all about this group that's, okay, so in the city, the Esper city that the story takes place in, there's this group called Anti-Skill. And Anti-Skill is basically the police. They're the Esper police. They are capable of taking down people with superpowers. Anti-Skill has some kind of, like, organization that's pretending to be them by, like, wearing their uniforms, comprised of former members, that is going around trying to, like, I guess, eke out their own brand of justice in the city. They're like a, you know, like a weird paramilitary organization driven by their own, like, sense of morality, I guess.
Do they not have powers? Is that why they're anti-skill?
I don't think they do, because none of the cops in Accelerator had powers, it seemed like. They just had, like, unique gadgets and stuff to take care of people with powers. I'm not 100% sure on that. But, it didn't seem like they had any powers in the show. No, I don't think so. And the other organization, they had created basically some kind of mech, like a Metal Gear type mecha, that is, it's meant to enhance the abilities of an Esper, but it's controlled by, like, Esper corpses.
Yeah.
So it's like you'll take an Esper, kill them, put their body in this mech, and then the mech enhances their abilities, but, you know, will just do your bidding, basically. So they've been trying to do that so that they can fucking, you know, enact their whatever brand of justice. And they want to get their hands on Last Order because something her memories of 10,000 deaths will fucking make an ultimate
level
mech.
6.
It'll help them get to level 6. So that's another thing, is that there's 5 or 6 different, well, there's 5 existent levels of Espers, not including level 0s who just don't have any powers. But, like, level 5 is the most powerful.
11 categories of hurricanes.
Yes, they are. I think it might be based off of hurricane categorization. It would make sense. But there's 5 different levels of Espers who are known to exist, and the level 5s, there's only a few of them, and the most powerful of those is Accelerator. But because of the fact that these mechas, for whatever reason, enhance the abilities that the Espers put inside of them, if you can get, like, let's say a level 4 Esper inside of one of these things, there's a possibility they could enhance them up to a level 6, and even surpass the level 5s. It's just a matter of something to do with 10,000 deaths being unlocked the fucking key.
Something 10,000 deaths.
Yeah, something 10,000 deaths. So, like, the first half of the show is mostly centered around, there's this necromancer girl who basically, like, was involved in creating this technology. Like, she was the one who figured out, I guess, that you could do this and
revive the organs and then...
And we don't learn exactly why she was working with these people until later. But in particular, she was working with this group of... Well, really it was a brother and sister who were at the heart of everything. But they've basically been using this whole organization of the ex-anti-skill members, and I don't remember what the fuck their group was called. But he's using their organization as a way to try...
And they're like weird dogs. They're like, all their iconography is like dogs. All their code names are like Doberman and shit.
I did not notice that at all.
You didn't?
No, I did not pick up on that.
Yeah, all they were like weird dogs and stuff.
So this organization is basically, like, in their minds, they're just trying to, like, you know, seek vigilante justice in this town by their own twisted morality. They're kind of like Team Plasma from Pokemon. They're like, oh, you know, by taking away Pokemon, we'll make them free. And then they just, like, do evil shit the whole game. It's like that. But, you know, the people who are in charge, they have other goals. They have other ambitions in mind for what they're using this organization to do. But the first half of the show is mostly...
create a perfect body.
Yeah. I want a perfect body. I want a perfect soul. That is the motivation of the villain, as we'll learn later.
Go through 10,000 deaths.
So, the first half of the show is mostly about them trying to stop that organization. Like, on the surface, the evil organization is the real problem. And, like, learning about the crazy mechs, learning about all the powers, all that shit is cool. And, like, as of episodes, like, 4 or 5, is where we get to the point where, like, they've kind of stormed the organization, and the organization sends out these 4 girls who all have, like, really over-the-top powers that are, like, clearly meant to be, like, the muscle...
you forgot about the necromancer having her fucking... the red-haired girl.
Okay, yeah. So episode 2 starts off
This is
with
the first episode I saw. I didn't see episode 1.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, episode 1 basically was mostly just to introduce the faction of the anti-skill wannabes. But, like, it was mostly action-centric and, like, just reintroducing the characters of Accelerator and Last Order and setting up this anti-skill team. Yeah, and, like, just showing off some cool, like, machines and stuff. It was a pretty fun first episode, but, you know, my impression of it was like, alright, seems like more Index, I'm down. You know, like, let's see what happens. It doesn't seem like I need any more context to understand this than what I have, so I'm gonna give it a shot. Episode 2 starts off with this red-haired girl who's like a level 2, I think, jumping off a bridge and committing suicide. Then she finds herself being rescued by these paramedics, except that they're not actually rescuing her. They ensure that she's dead by drowning her, which is a pretty crazy and dramatic scene.
Yeah.
So they take this girl's corpse and they put it inside of one of their mechs. And Accelerator has to fight it. It's a really stupid fucking scene when he fights it. Well, after that, he meets the necromancer girl. And basically, they get this girl's corpse out of this mech. And the necromancer binds one of these, like, golem spirits that she has to the girl, basically turning her, like, her corpse into a living golem, like a house for this weird spirit that she's put inside of her. So now that thing is like, and she has like superhuman capabilities because she can like go beyond the normal parameters of human ability, you know, like she can use more than 10% of her power at once, kind of thing. It's ridiculous. So,
it's great. There's a total mismatch between like the character design and like the spirit that has consumed her.
Okay, and here's another thing about this show is that there are several characters who spend like the entire show in their underwear.
Yeah.
Like, this girl is brought back to life, and all of whom are not like in their original bodies. It's like there's some weird fetish shit going on here for sure. Where,
I mean, all of it is weird fetish shit. It's about Last Order, a lolly, fucking Claude.
Fair. But like, they revive this, or I hesitate to say they revive her. They put this golem spirit inside of her, which basically acts like a robot. And, when she's revived, she's just in her underwear, and she, like, throws, like, a shawl on.
It looks terrible. It's the worst character outfit ever.
She spends, like, the whole first half of, the next 3 or 4 episodes just, like, in her underwear with a brown shawl on.
Just like a
while all this
dark
action is going on.
Coat and, like, shitty, like, white
Oh my
underwear.
god, is this the same fucking boss?
No, he doesn't have thorns on his ass. He has, instead, herpes on his ass.
Oh my god, if this functions the same way as that other fight, I'm gonna fucking scream.
Maybe they have different weaknesses. I
Anyway.
want to see if he actually has sores on his butt, though.
So...
I'm gonna get behind him.
So the whole, like, we've pretty much described the plot of the first half. This is gonna take 1,000 years. Use first-person view to attack the wings? What? Hold up, I pressed the wrong button. I fucking gotta click continue. How do I go into first-person mode again?
You did it before.
I forgot. I saved my state. Fuck. I have no idea. I don't remember how to do it. Fuck. He said it would help me to take out the wings, though.
Go behind him.
I pressed,
There's
like, all the buttons.
sores on his asses. Gotta check out his butt.
Fuck you, asshole.
Oh no.
Well, it seems like we're capable of doing slightly more damage while he's on the ground than before. It's gonna be a nightmare. Anyhow,
you gotta...
I'll just keep talking and pretend this fight isn't going on for the next 20 minutes that it's going to be going on for. So the first half of Accelerator, I would say, is pretty entertaining, but not amazing. The dialogue is often so fucking corny, especially the character Accelerator himself.
Oh, yeah.
So Accelerator is the biggest edgelord on planet fucking Earth. And, like, in the original show, like, when he's first introduced, you have to understand, this is supposed to be a merciless, remorseless killer who has murdered 10,000 clones. And his whole attitude is laughing psychopath. He has the most over-the-top voice acting imaginable. I'm pretty sure it's the same guy who plays Bakugo in fucking My Hero. He is so obnoxious. His voice is intolerable. And, so he's always just screaming and being an edge fuck, and, generally would have been, like, a really unlikable character, but, like, he's involved in this arc that's super popular, and they bring him back and try to redeem him. So now his thing is that he's basically like the grumpy, silent, antagonistic kind of guy.
Who's taking care of a little
girl. He has become Sesshomaru. He has become just like any other, rival character who takes care of a cute little girl as part of their redemption, which is like a common anime trope, You could argue Guts is similar. He's got Shirk, It's just like they team up the big tough guy with the little girl. It happens all the time.
Oh boy. I was gonna say, except for Shirke, like, wants to fuck him, and then I'm like, oh wait, that's clearly what was being hinted at the last episode.
I mean, yeah, in the case of Accelerator and Last Order, there's definitely meant to be a romantic undercurrent to it. Like,
I don't know if it's just all of the clones too.
Well, that was another thing. Like, 'cause, like it's obvious that Last Order treats him like, she kind of acts almost like a tsundere, because Misaka herself is a tsundere. Like, Misaka's in love with the main guy, but she's more of the like, Baka, and like punches him through the fucking building, like kind of tsundere.
Of course.
When she gets mad. Last Order is more of the like, clingy, cloying, always around but won't admit to anything. Like, she tries to be coy about everything. But the thing about her, and this is what makes her a fun character, is that her gimmick is that, and this is true, okay, all of the Misaka clones have this speech gimmick where they have to describe the way that they are saying what they're saying. So, for instance, a Misaka clone might say, the enemy is at our front gates, Misaka said, sweating in anxiety, Like, they don't show any emotions in how they speak, but they have to describe the emotions that they're feeling after saying what they say. As though they were writing their own dialogue in a book, Mm-hmm. So Last Order is even more obnoxious, because whereas the other one's to say Misaka says sweating, she says Misaka of Misaka. Yeah. Misaka wa Misaka whatever. It's really fucking weird, and she has to do it for like almost every sentence she says, but it leads to funny moments when what she is saying is undercut by how she's describing the way she's saying it. Like, Misaka says, nervously hoping you won't call her bluff. Things like that. So it's like she can carry both halves of a conversation all by herself, kind of. Like, even if Accelerator doesn't react, it's still funny to hear her say something and then contradict herself in her description of it. And he's never going to call it out, because he's stoic, He's trying to pretend like he doesn't care about whatever goofy shit she's thinking and feeling. But he obviously has a soft spot for her and, like, cares about her and tries to protect her, So, they're cute. And let me tell you, I was a huge fan of that ship way back.
Of course.
Circa 2011 or so.
Oh, no.
That was, like, the whole... I wrote a blog post once about how much I love 4chan because of the fact that I had this long, Last Order thread and like got like every piece of Last Order art that existed on the internet, because they were not that popular of characters at the time, like when Index was fairly new.
Weird side characters of an arc.
Right, exactly. But they eventually got their own kind of extra shit. But yeah,
they got their own show.
So, even though Last Order doesn't appear that much in the second half of the show, unfortunately, she kind of gets left behind. It's implied that, like, the enemy is trying to capture her early on, but then it doesn't seem to matter later, or maybe they just think because they have a Misaka clone, it's, like, the same thing, because she also can access the memories, possibly.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely fucking sure, but, they end up the bad guys capture one of Misaka's clones while trying to capture Last Order, and that's what gets Accelerator tied up in the story. So for the first half of the show, it's like they go to the facility, they're trying to like defeat this, this fake anti-skill branch.
Like, no damage to that guy.
It's gonna take forever. It's just like last time. It does more damage, it seems, when I just attack him than when I try to use the fucking spell. But
I see.
It is what it is. It takes forever.
You might want.
I'm supposed to be able to first person and target his wings, I guess.
I mean, I've seen you go into the first person.
I know it's possible, but I also remapped the controls since then, so I don't know if I even kept the button that lets you do it, because I pressed all the buttons. None of them seem to work. Oh, it's select. Never mind. It's the select button.
Brain lit mode.
Alright, well, we'll wait till he goes up again, because I think he's going to drop soon. Anyway, the first half of the show is okay. The most fun part of it is when they introduce all the crazy concepts and shit. But, like, having to listen to Accelerator, like, laugh or say anything is obnoxious. Most of the side characters aren't that interesting. It's mostly about crazy powers, occasionally cool battles, but like there's not really any animation to speak of,
Yeah.
You're not watching this for the choreography of the fights. You're watching it for the ideas and concepts, which can get fucking insane, Like even just random moments of a character using their power. Like one of the bad guys at the fight is like, oh, she can control the level of gravity on whatever she touches. So, like, she can make one of your legs just experience gravity differently from the other one, and now you fucking walk fucked up, and that's how she beats your ass, weird shit. Or no, it wasn't gravity, it was friction. She could control the frictional coefficient. So, like, she could cause it so one of the wheels on a spider tank experiences less friction than the others, causing it to spiral out of control, that kind of thing. Like, crazy powers, as is typical of the series. But anyway, that first half is mildly entertaining. Then we get into the second half when we start learning what's really going on. And particularly episode 8 is amazing. Because the actual explanation for what's really happening in the show is, like, jaw-droppingly convoluted.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, we learn about it basically over the course of 2 episodes, where episode 8 is the dramatic backstory of, like, how this all got started, how the necromancer girl got involved in everything, the real story behind the brother and sister, who up to this point are presented as, you've got this brother who's just, like, seen behind a monitor, kind of controlling things from the darkness, and, like, obviously he's more important, but, like, we don't know much about him. And then there's this girl who is calling him Oni-sama. She is in her underwear and fawning over his cock the entire time. That is what she's been doing. So, that, as far as we know, her entire existence is basically she wants to fuck her brother, assuming it is, in fact, her brother. Who the fuck knows in a show like this? First-person view is impossible to use. This is retarded, and I hate it. This fucking boss is heinous. So anyway, the fucking, we've just seen this girl, like, on her brother's cock the whole show. Whatever. She's pretty hot. Incest is cool. So, why not, The like, other, like, force, like, the 4 girls who have crazy powers who are brought in as, like, enforcers in episode, like, 4 or 5. There's, like, a couple episodes dedicated to fighting them, and then they're gone. They do not matter again after Accelerator.
One of them's, like, kind of hot, but they're pretty shit.
Most of them are shit. And, like, Accelerator himself is so OP because he's the most powerful fucking Esper. So, like, nothing in the show is ever a threat to him at all. Like, the only reason anything ever happens is that he's not there. So the show has to just come up with reasons for him to not be there, if you don't want him to just wipe everybody out. So, like, alright, can I fucking bring this bitch back to life? Can he bring her back to life? Is that what he's trying to do? Did he do it? Okay, he already did it. Fuck! Oh my god, now I'm dead. And it just returns me to the city instantly. It didn't even let one of them fucking heal me.
No!
Ah!
No!
Is there any other missions I can do? Can I do missions on one of the other planets by chance? I do not want to fight that fucking boss again. That boss is shit. That boss is shit ass.
Everybody, shit. Fuck.
So, the second half of Accelerator. We're gonna get into spoilers, because it's the only way to do it justice. Yeah.
You're not gonna make a video about it?
This is the video about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Alright.
I might make a video, because I have an idea to make a video about both Accelerator and Fate, once we finish that, once we finish El Meloy, but it won't talk about the actual plot. Like...
Okay.
My plan is to make a video about like the nature of these shows, like what makes them appealing to people, which is, I wrote down in the notebook's right there, right? Will you hand me that?
That's not the right notebook.
Oh, well.
I have like several notebooks.
I think I wrote that it was infinitely vast and unfathomably deep was like the nature of the powers in that show. It's like, and in Fate. It's like... There's just so many concepts present that you could... It goes on forever, you know? Like, you could... The show could last an eternity. Like, the franchise can last forever because it just has so many possibilities, you know? Like, basically anything could happen in this series, conceivably, and it would make sense. Maybe I'll just go back to one of the fucking places I've been... do it again. I'm already level 19. Holy shit.
Damn, I remember when you were level 1.
This is a level 15 area, so let's redo that.
Sick
Sounds
tits.
good, right?
Sounds good to me.
Hopefully it's not overly easy. I only have Vivienne with me. Okay. Is the Dimagolus the fucking first version of the shitty boss? Is this the level where I fought him before? Because I'll be mad if I just went and did the same thing.
Would you have to fight the boss again?
I think so. It said defeat the Demigolus was my goal.
I see.
We'll find out. This is the first time I've even attempted to just go grind in a level. Like, normally that's what you do in PSO is like go back through levels you've been to grind. So it's like the fact that it's taken this long just indicates how easy this game is.
Except for the boss fights.
Just because it takes so fucking long. And I mean, the ones where it's just a dragon are fine because they're on the ground for long enough for you to do significant damage to them. But like, you know, the flying guy is just such a fucking pain. I kind of like really have to urgently take a shit, so we might have to just pause this in the middle here and resume.
Okay.
Are you down for that?
How long have we been going?
I gotta shit. I don't think we've been going that long. I think less than 45 minutes. Maybe a little more than 45 minutes. All right. We'll get right back. Guys.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know.
I could have built a house with the logs that just came out of my ass.
We're never going back to 0 subs.
Zeros. We're gonna take a little break from talking about Accelerator.
Apologies to anybody who went to Zeros on our bequest.
We're gonna take a little break from talking about Accelerator to talk about Zeros. Which, yes, right before we stopped, or we ended the last episode with us saying we were gonna go get 0 subs, right? So that was early this morning, I think, that we recorded that. Maybe in the afternoon. Do you remember what time it was?
Afternoon.
But like early afternoon.
It was like 2. It was a normal lunchtime.
So we had, you know, we woke up probably at some weird time yesterday, because we've been waking up at weird times.
That was a relatively normal time. Like, I worked out in the morning.
I don't remember at all. Literally, the morning is a blur to me. It was all
we probably got up at like 5 a.m. or something. It was a little earlier than normal, but...
I think we woke up... Okay, so here's the thing. I had this idea. You and I had a day where you were feeling kind of shitty. You were like, "Oh,
every day.
I don't feel so great. Why don't we get some pot and just smoke a little something tonight, right?" So I was like, cool. So I was like, I found out. I was like, asked the drug dealer. Now, granted, my drug dealer usually requires like a couple of days notice. But like, she was like, oh, I can get you an 8th tonight. Normally I get a 4th. But I was like, fine. You know what? Probably better to have less anyways. But like the image I had in my mind of like, all right, I'll spend the next few days like getting little bits of work done and then rewarding myself by smoking a blunt. But it was like, well, we didn't get as much weed as that. So instead I'm just going to, I'm just going to motor through it in a couple days and have some fun.
Why do you ever think that you're going to have it as like a reward? Because every time you get it, you just smoke it all at once.
Well, it was,
I've never seen you...
It would have been different if we had gotten more, I think.
I don't think so. I really don't think so.
Who knows how it would have gone. All I know is that it was only an 8th.
Just learn to function while being high, please.
Sometimes it really depends on like what mental state I'm in, Like sometimes I'm in a state of like, oh man, feeling creative, feeling energetic, smoking this pot, watching cool stuff, feeling like yeah. Sometimes it's like, man, I just need to relax. Like the world is overwhelming.
I don't know, dude. I think it's just you're smoking way too much at once.
That's also true.
Like
my tolerance has gotten
you're
way
always
too fucking
like, my
high.
tolerance is so high. I need to consume a whole lot to get high, and then you end up just like being out of commission.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, most stoners like, are constantly smoking.
Are or aren't?
Are.
Yeah.
Just like not a lot,
Yeah. It's weird because we don't have like that kind of supply. Where like, it'd be different if there was a fucking pot store down the road and I could just like fucking keep a vape pen on me and fucking, just hit it before doing things, before doing fun things. Like, one of the most fun experiences I've had, like when there's been a couple times where like we went to do things with like your family or something like that, and I had a vape pen, and I just kind of like, go off to the side, vape a little pot when any time in between. It's just like, it makes you feel generally real good. And like family events where you feel awkward and like you're not really supposed to be there are a lot better when you're just a little bit high from a little vape pen. It gives you more of that body high.
Yeah, but you don't need to spend like an hour getting high before.
Exactly. You just fucking vape it and then you're done.
It's fun to like.
We don't even have access to that. Like, we don't even know somebody who can sell that to me. So it's gay. I mean, I already went on my fucking where to weed at rant several times now. But like, in any case, so I think this morning I mostly remember just finishing off the pot and watching more analysis videos, which I'm obsessed with watching gaming analysis videos. I thought I was done because I couldn't find any more channels. Like, before I got the pot, I was literally like, oh, I can't find any more, so I guess that's it. I guess I'm not going to be sitting around watching analysis videos.
You've already watched them all? Nope.
I already watched them all. But then, like, I saw, like, a more recent K-Bash video, and he was the guy who we'd watched a couple of his videos already, but I just thought they were okay. But his more recent ones were better, so I ended up watching all of his stuff, and then through him finding a guy called Ant Dude, who was talking about all this Kirby and fucking, fucking Yoshis and shit like that. So I ended up watching all that shit, and, like, previously I had been, like, playing video games while watching videos. Like, I've been playing through Pokemon, but I've reached a point in Pokemon where it's becoming a pain in the ass, because I got to the Elite... What the fuck? This guy's just, like, reset? Okay. I got to the Pokemon League, but all my Pokemon are underpowered. And, like, it's a combination of my guys are underpowered, and, like, the point of my playthrough is to catch all the Pokemon. But to do that, it's like, I'd have to just grind a bunch of guys, because, like, I don't have access to any new catches until I beat the Pokemon League. And my guys are underpowered for that. So basically I have to grind one way or another. Whatever my goal is, I have to grind to accomplish it. It's lame. So I wasn't playing as much Pokemon. Just kind of sitting there watching analysis videos and smoking pot, which is all I want to do in my life. It's the most fun way to spend time, to me. Like, I never stop enjoying analysis videos. Even if it's like about a game I only barely care about, and from a YouTuber who I just think is okay, it doesn't matter.
You'll still watch it.
It's an analysis video. Yeah. It has to be like... Sometimes I give up, Like, we were watching this Pikmin 3 video, and we just kind of passed out, and I was like, you know what? I think I've seen enough. Like, it was a 22-minute video from Ant Dude about Pikmin 3.
Give it time. Give it time, you'll need it.
We watched the first half, and I felt like I was convinced that I should play the game already, because I'd already watched another video by K-Bash about Pikmin. So, you know, I was just like, don't need to watch this whole thing right now. We can just go to bed. But otherwise, yeah, I'll sit there and play analysis videos all fucking day. So, I remember doing that. And then I remember we did a Let's Play. And I've been, the reason I've been doing these Let's Plays is that I know I have a ton of content to finish. And I think it would be nice to have just like a series of hour-and-a-half long videos coming out every couple of days on the main channel to sate people while I'm working on all this other stuff, you know?
To whet their palate.
Yes. Because, like, a lot of the videos I have are bigger and will take a little bit to edit, and I just figure, hey, these, you know, we'll push all that back a couple days for now, but, you know, what you'll get is much more interim content in between their releases. This is the weird way I think about my content. But, you know, it's a constant battle of, like, what makes the most sense to do now? What makes the most sense to do later, you know?
Right.
Like, as soon as we're done with this particular recording, I'll start recording rants. But I'm going to release the first of these today, so...
Excellent.
The date that you're hearing this is, you know, obviously the amount of time between when this was recorded and when you're hearing it is, you can track that by when the first episode came out. So anyway, we went to 0 subs. And we've gone there a few times recently. Ever since I, like, kind of rediscovered it, right? I think this is the 3rd time we went, right?
Yeah, it's the second one I had.
Okay. So the first time, you weren't that hungry. I just wanted to get a sub and, like, try out Zeros. I ended up liking it a lot. We went back a second time. I got the same thing, liked it just as much. It was like the confirmation test kind of run. And then we waited a little bit, and there's a reason. Because both times we went to Zeros, there was a lot of monstrously fat people there. And more than you're used to seeing in one place at one time.
More than the Walmart would have.
Yes.
Way more than Walmart.
The store is a very small store, and the first time we went, I kind of had a suspicion early on. This was hilarious, because I go up to the counter... And I've never been, you know, well, I've been when I was younger, but I had not been for a while. I don't know what's supposed to be good. Their menu's all written in chalk, and it was kind of chaotic and confusing. So I just asked the girl at the counter, like, what do you recommend here? Like, what do you think is the best? And she says, oh, well, I only ever get the turkey. And, like... I could tell that what she meant by that is I don't consider that to be the best thing we have. That's just what I get. And she's like a young-looking, relatively thin girl, you know? So I'm like, okay, of course she only eats the turkey. She's trying to watch her weight. Everything else here is bad for you, you know? That's my immediate thought. And in the store is a woman who looks like she's probably pushing 400 pounds. So I'm just like, whatever. She says the most popular subs are the grinder and the Philly cheesesteak. Those are not healthy subs. Those are not even usually the most popular subs at a place, you know? Like,
right.
You know this place is known for its unhealthy hot subs. But I got it, and it was really delicious. It didn't taste extremely bad for you, but nothing on it is good for you, you know? Like, it's a sandwich that uses, like, pillowy white bread.
No wheat option. Everything
No.
just is on the white bread.
Pillowy white bread, loaded with meat, loaded with cheese, and onions. I guess the onions are good for you. But otherwise, nothing on the sandwich is good for you. But it's really good. It's like the best Philly cheesesteak I've had in town, other than at the Philadelphia place, which is similar in style, you know? They're going to give you a similar sandwich. So, like... We go there the second time, and there's no less than 3 enormously fat people. And I'm not just talking about regular fat guys. I'm talking like 400 pounds. Like, people who take up a lot of space in the restaurant. Apologies to anybody listening who is that size. I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just saying there's a lot of them in one place. And when you see that many people who weigh that much in one location, you have to think this food is really bad for you. Like, this food is the reason these people are so fat. And all of them look kind of blue collar. Like, it looks like people who come here on their lunch break. So I'm thinking, okay, people come to Zero's for their lunch break. The subs are relatively cheap. Like, the foot-long sub is only like $8.50, which for a fucking Philly cheesesteak is a really good price, you know? Mm-hmm. For a foot-long Philly cheesesteak, you get fucking full. You get real fucking full off their subs. So yeah, there's like a lot of red flags going up. Then the other day we were walking home, and we see, like, on the side of the road, like, the detritus of a destroyed Zero's, like, styrofoam cup that clearly must have been, like, you know, the largest size drink, because it was the biggest fucking, like...
I've never seen a cup that big before.
It was the remnants of a very big styrofoam cup. That shit is
outlawed from where I come from.
Yeah.
There are no big gulps in New York.
So, yeah, it was a fucking massive cup. So we're just like, alright, clearly, we get the message. Zero's is fat. However, earlier today, you do this thing called Meatless Monday, where you don't eat meat every Monday. We talked about it on the last episode right before we went to eat. Zero's Subs, it turns out, has a few vegetarian options. So we're like, fuck yeah, we're going to Zero's. And we go there. Now, granted, earlier in the day, like, I was hungry because we had just been recording for an hour and a half. I was still a little stoned. I was, like, excited to eat a big Zero sub. But I had been eating that day. It's not like I was starving. It's not like I hadn't eaten anything. I'd probably eaten a variety of different things. Like, probably some stuff with milk and some stuff with chips and dips and all kinds of shit. Because I'd just been sitting there smoking pot and eating whatever was in front of me all day, you know? All morning. Thoughtlessly. So we go to Zero's. No fat people this time, at least.
It was all kids, because I think it was like, you know... I don't know
I remember seeing a fit black guy. I was like, okay, there's fit people who eat here.
It's just young people, but, like, yeah, they're, like, you know... It's just interesting, the clientele that eats there.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of... It's a cheap eats place. It's like a divey kind of place, but...
Right. But they give you big-ass subs for cheap. So anyway, we take these subs home. We both eat about half of our sub. And I start to feel like, oh no, I can't hold it down. Now, I have, like, acid reflux problems, I think. Like, yeah. I get pukey. And it's been happening way more recently. Like, I would say in the last, like, half a year, I've been way more regularly pukey than ever before. I feel like my brother, I feel like Victor, who's like this his whole life all the time, you know, just constantly feeling like his stomach hurts and he's gonna vomit. I don't usually feel that, like it's not usually that my stomach hurts. It just feels like I don't digest fast enough or something, and like I'll get hungry, but then it's like the new food is just laying on top of the old food, and it just gets pushed back up every time I burp or get gassy or something. I don't know. It feels like the food pipeline just gets clogged or something.
You gotta eat more lettuce.
Maybe so. Maybe I just need more fiber.
More
I mean,
roughage,
what
more
I just
fiber.
the shit I just took was clearly like a lot of things had been backed up and they all finally made it.
Yeah,
out.
you gotta just eat more oatmeal and lettuce. Like, I eat a lot of that.
Yeah. I don't know what food does to you. Like, I don't know what different foods are meant to do to your body. So,
you know, you have to keep a balance between the fat, protein, and carbs that you're eating. You know, all of them have different purposes, but if you're eating a whole lot of fat, you're going to get sick. And if you're eating a whole lot of carbs, you're going to have, you know, disproportionate amount of calories per food.
Mm-hmm.
And if you eat too much protein...
I need to make you be a food coach for me.
I don't know. I don't really know what happens when you eat too much protein.
I gotta be like, baby, what have I eaten today, and what should I eat to
I usually tell you. It's usually like, hey, man, you ate a bag of chips today.
Yeah.
You don't usually eat a bag of chips, but, like, I don't know. You like, when we go out to eat, you will pick things that aren't healthy, and, like, we go out to eat, like, frequently. So
I also will often, like, if I'm, like, a little hungry... and you're not, I will slip in little Taco Bell, you know?
You gotta stop that. That's your problem.
I just go like, hey.
Taco Bell has never done any good for anybody.
I'm just like, hey, you know, I'm a little hungry. You hungry? No, not really. All right, well, how about we stop by, I get a little dollar menu on the way to wherever we're going. And granted, last time I did that, I was sincerely really hungry.
Yeah,
we
I
were
mean,
gonna be in the car for a while.
It's fine. That's why it exists. The dollar menu is kind of like perfect, but it's just, you know, you gotta tell yourself like, hey, there's food that I can eat that, you know, like yogurts and stuff that'll be healthier for you.
Well, the thing is, I do eat that stuff.
You eat like fucking bad yogurt though. You gotta eat the Greek yogurt.
What do you mean by bad yogurt?
You gotta eat the Greek yogurt.
I eat just regular ass yogurt.
I don't know, man.
What's bad about my yogurt?
You gotta eat the Greek. You gotta eat the Greek. You gotta get a Greek
yogurt. I'd rather eat French than Greek. They're similar.
You gotta eat either skim yogurt or Greek yogurt. But, you know, you can't eat too much of that because it is a dairy. Gotta throw in some fruits.
I've been eating grapes.
Yeah, grapes
Eating grapes
good.
all day on top of everything else. Anyway,
fruits and veggies.
The long story short, I ate this Zero sub and I felt
it's
like
really funny
because
my answer is just like eat less, dude. Because that's just what I do. It's like I don't particularly eat like that much healthy food, but like
I don't normally eat a whole lot, but you know when weed gets involved, then everything looks delicious. It's not even so much that like you are incorrigibly hungry, though that is part of it. It's just that eating food is so much fun.
Yeah.
You know? And like everything tastes better when you're high, so you're just like, ooh, I bet it would be fun to eat that. Ooh, let's see, oh, I want to taste this. Like, oh man, I can't wait to eat a Zero sub. That's going to taste extra fucking good. Because literally my mindset was like, I'm still a little stoned. You wanted a sandwich. Let's go to fucking Zero's. Hell yeah! Half a sandwich later, I'm like dying. Literally just laying there dying. And at first, you were like, huh, well, I didn't overeat, so I'm fine. You're the one who's dying because you tried to eat more than just half your sub, but I stopped at half. And then like a couple hours later, you ate the other half of your sub, and you were like, well, I'm passed out now. So we went to bed and slept through the rest of the day.
It definitely is heavy. Like, it'll make you go to bed.
We just erratically slept through the whole day. So people are in my Discord
I didn't sleep
like
as much as you did, but like you definitely went to bed.
People were in the Discord saying like, "Oh, Digibro's gonna suddenly post 100 rants today," and I'm just like, "Ha! I'm gonna post 100 Z's today above my fucking bed because I feel like death." And I woke up and I felt like shit, and you were not sympathetic to me at all. You were just like, yeah, fuck you, you sleep too much, you better get out of fucking bed, you nigger. And I was like, but it hurts.
I don't know, man, I have a little sympathy for, like, you know, the weed life, I guess.
I wasn't high anymore, it just hurt. My body was just in pain. From eating too much Zeros. Well,
I'm sorry, am I a bad person? I probably am.
No, I don't think so.
Should a wife be more caring?
Yes.
No, I don't know.
No, I'm joking.
Let me know, Chad.
Completely fine.
I was kind of harsh, but like, you know, I was like, you gotta get out of bed. Like, you're my only source of entertainment.
Yeah.
I literally, there's nothing I want to do in the house.
So yeah, that was the experience eating Zeros. I still feel not fully recovered. I still haven't finished the sub. And I want to.
Don't do it.
But I knew the moment that I had to switch to water because I couldn't drink any more Mountain Dew or else it was going to make it worse. But I didn't. I thought I had tea and I didn't. I was like, where the fuck's my tea? There is no tea. Yeah. Fucking, we learned about the fact that there's estrogen in plastics.
Oh yeah, we got really into this like cooking YouTube channel. What is it called?
I don't remember. It's a guy's name. He did a video called Why I Season My Cutting Board Instead of My Steak, I think.
Yeah.
Look that up.
He does a lot of weird, like, life hack kitchen-y videos, and,
yeah, I wouldn't say they're intended to be life hacks necessarily, but...
that, you know, about his videos is just that he's kind of a gross motherfucker. Like, he's kind of the guy who's kind of, like, you know,
Well, he's
putting
like,
his hands in the food and like eating out of the pot.
It's funny because like he seems to care about like the sanitation and all that. It's just that like he's a little bit ratchet about it, as you put it. You know?
Yeah, it's just like some of the methods that he uses, just kind of like, I think that's, I want to do that. Like, I'd be embarrassed to show this on camera, but like you can tell that, you know.
But he works for like a food college or something like that.
You
like,
know,
what
he's doing is like reasonable to do in your own home, but would definitely not be okay to do in a professional kitchen. Just like using the same cutting board and same utensils like on raw meat. Like I get really kind of like irked out about raw meat. So I'll end up using like more silver, like, you know, knives and stuff if I'm cutting up a piece of meat. Like I'll save the meat till the end, or I'll use separate. Often I'll use separate cutting boards. And like he was using a plastic cutting board, and when my mom saw I was using a plastic cutting board, that bitch threw that shit away. She's like, "Oh, you don't."
I mean, he kind of like argued to not use it because he said that the plastic had estrogen in it. And he was like encouraging you not to use plastic shit, so... It
was just interesting, because like, it was... The plastic cutting board was like a very staple piece in his videos, but like, I had constantly heard not to use like the plastic shit, so... I just like thought it was interesting that he was still using that, and then he made that video.
You require assistance, bitch, you're the healer. Anyway.
Right? It's like, that's not my problem.
So anyway, returning to talk about Accelerator, the second half. We talked about the first half. We're now going to share spoilers for the second half of Accelerator.
Oh boy, we're still... Fuck.
If you are interested in watching the show without being spoiled...
Just skip the episode. This is all we'll have time for.
Yeah, but it's, you know, you probably don't care. And like, I wouldn't say that spoiling it will ruin the show for you.
No, I think it'll just make you more interested
at all. So anyways... In episode 8, we learn about the backstory of what the fuck is going on in Accelerator. So, it turns out that there was this brother and sister duo, and the sister really wants to become a level 6 Esper. And that's
because her body is failing?
Yes. Well, it doesn't seem like her brother is aware of this. It seems like they're just working together to make her a level 6. He just seems to think that's just her ambition.
Yeah, she like had paid off her doctor to like not tell anybody that she's dying.
Yeah, so it turns out she's actually dying. She wants to become a level 6 to try to save her body, basically, because of this technology that they've developed where you can put like corpses into fucking mechs. She wants to be a corpse in a mech so that she can be reborn as a level 6, and she wants to use the necromancer to help her do it. But there's no... In spite of the fact that it's called necromancy, they cannot literally bring people's souls back into their bodies. What they can do is put souls into bodies.
Yeah.
Not their souls. And like, so the necromancer girl, she comes from this family called the Rosenthals, who are a long family of necromancers going back like 400 years. And they had created this ability to like put souls into human bodies as a way to make golems that would be used for like war.
And I don't think they're human souls. They're like weird manufactured.
Yes, it seems that way. At least the ones that she's carrying around are like
she has 4 different souls, so I guess she could have like a total of like 4.
Right.
4 guys on her side.
And the idea is that like when her, you know, forefathers or whatever brought up this technology, they were shunned. People were like, "Oh, this is disgusting. We're not going to use this. Fuck you." And so he went off to become a guy wherever. But like the family continued the research over the decades, you know, like they continued to attempt to bring the dead back to life, or to bring themselves back to life to like chase some kind of immortality, I guess. So our girl, you know, she came back. Okay.
Like what happens in Lord El Melloway in that one episode
with the
guy who
the elf.
Yeah,
the
right.
Interdimensional elf or whatever.
No, not that one.
Oh, the one who like
where,
the
like
second
the
episode.
head of the household, the father guy was like, he hid body parts around the house.
Yeah.
To fucking like I don't
know. Who knows what the fuck they were doing?
Who fucking knows? That show's fucking insane.
They're both insane. And in similar ways.
I feel like, you know, Accelerator is kind of like at least tries to make more sense. Where,
well,
like, the
Accelerator
systems
doesn't borrow from quite as huge of a mythology. Because, like, El Meloy II has a lot of characters who have already been established in other shows. And, like, factions that have already been used. Whereas Accelerator, in spite of the fact that oh my god, it just instantly killed me.
One hit.
Just literally, the two rocks hit me one after another, and I was fucking dead.
You died. You bought it.
Well, at least I leveled up once.
Wow. Was it worth?
I guess I'm gonna go do a different mission that doesn't involve fighting one of those fucking things. 'Cause I didn't even know until I was,
Until you had already selected the level. Like, oh shit.
But I don't know what the next, highest level mission that doesn't have one of those things is. Let's see. This is level 5. Wait, there's a B. I haven't done B. Okay. Wait, it says party leader must be level 10, creatures level 20 plus. I am level 20.
Do it.
I gotta bring more party members. That was a mistake I made on that last one. I didn't have any party members for some reason. Let's leave the counter, I guess. Anyway, yeah, the second half of the show, as we were talking about, the girl, her lineage is necromancers. She gets involved with this brother and sister, and she's friends with the sister, it seems. Like, the sister asks her to, like, basically, hey, can I call on you, like, in a time of need, essentially. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, sure, bro. We pinky promise on it. Well, turns out, the sister, because she knew she was dying, she kills herself so that they will put her into the machine. But before she killed herself, and she did not, they didn't know this, she had taken one of the golem spirits from the necromancer girl. She took, like, one of her little papers that has a spirit enchantment on it. So she kills herself, and there's, like, a message she left behind that's like, hey, I was gonna die anyways. I wanted to make sure you guys are gonna put me in that fucking coffin and bring me back to life, right? So they do, but, like, Necromancer Girl's like, well, I know I can't literally bring her back, but the girl comes back with the spirit of this fucking thing that she had stolen. She comes back with the spirit of the golem talisman thing, and she's like a cold hard bitch. She murders a bunch of people. She's fucking... The scene is awesome. The scene where she comes back, revived as the mech, and, like, her personality is that she's basically, like, being, like, a shit-eating edgelord. Like, she clearly got everything she wanted, but she's, like... It's debatable how much of this is her original intent, and how much of it is the monster. And she, like, says to the girl, like, yeah, she took the charm off of you, so either she knew that she was going to turn into me, and just did it so that she could get to the level 6 power, like, regardless of whether her soul was even intact, or, or I did it to her, whatever, like, she says something about Schrodinger's cat. It was clever. It was cool.
It was the best.
It was the best use of Schrodinger's cat I've seen in a while. Because she was literally in a box.
Who is it? Is it the girl? Is it the little sister? Or is it a fucking demon?
The show did a good job of keeping you guessing on whether or not she had intended for things to go this way.
Yeah.
And you also had the factor of just, like, the episode. That scene was just really well done. Like, it's a long kind of exposition scene, but the way that it's staged and the way it looks, the way that the ending theme plays into it, the music, all of it is just really... The voice acting was great in that scene.
It was
Both
intense.
characters had great acting. Just the twists and revelations are really interesting.
And the poor older brother has no idea.
Yes, he's, like, knocked out while this is all happening.
And he completely loses his mind.
There's even more complexities to all of this, even than just what I'm saying, but, like, yeah, it gets really fucking nuts. So, like, yeah, the brother, he basically has, like, just the fact that his sister is, like, back in his eyes is all that matters to him. And, like, it's unclear whether he was romantically interested in her before she came back, but the attitude that she has now that she's back, which is clearly different from how she used to be.
Yeah, definitely.
But nonetheless, he seems convinced that she is enough herself, or that this was enough her own plan, that he's okay with it all, and she's just, like, on his nuts, and he seems to be into it. So, like...
Yeah, she's, like, sitting in his lap and, like, hovering over him.
Yeah, so they've become, like, a weird incest couple in her revived state. And, like, this is how we've seen her the whole show.
Yeah.
You know, like, this whole backstory about the sister trying to be brought back to life and all that shit, all of that we didn't know about. And, like, the necromancer girl, for her part, all she thought she was doing was trying to help bring this girl back to life, you know, or, like, help her to become level 6 and then help her to come back. She did not realize she was setting into motion all this bullshit. Well, we find out a little bit later that the totem that's taken over this girl has itself been taken over long ago before it ever got into the girl. The totem, the reason it's acting this way, because these totems are supposed to behave, they're supposed to obey the Rosenthals and their directions, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, we already know that we have one of them inside that red-haired girl from before, the girl who died in episode 2.
Yeah, and she's just a meat puppet.
She's just been following the orders of Necromancer Girl, doing whatever she says, basically, and helping them to save the day. She doesn't seem to have any emotions, and if she does, it's just the desire to serve her master. You know, like, that's all she really has going for her. So the question is kind of like, why does this program, this other one, not listen to the master? And the reason given by it is that it is obeying the family legacy, like the desire of the legacy of the family to improve the necromancy to reach its final form takes precedence over her individual desire as the endpoint, which I think she's the only Rosenthal even left, right?
Yeah, she's the last heir, I think.
Yeah, so she is the leader of the Rosenthal family, but because the bloodline goes beyond her and the desires of the family go beyond her as an entity, that is what this thing thinks it is being operated under. However, the reality is that at some point in the stages of its creation, it had encountered what it describes as a devil, a demon, a literal demon from hell.
You missed the combination of, like, she became a level 6. Like, they had to capture the Misaka clone to take her memories so they can, like, use that to, like, I don't know, do the transformation and put her in the level 6 body. Well,
she never quite becomes a level 6 because it's, like, a long process. But yes, they put her...
I thought she did. I thought that they are able to get her to the machine.
Yeah, but remember when she, like, takes over the city or whatever, she's, like, trying to harvest more souls to, like, reach a high... Like, she's not complete yet, which is why they could beat her in the end.
I see.
Because she's not, like, fully complete as a level 6. But she is in the body... Maybe in the very last episode, because I know there's a part where she says, like, oh, I have achieved perfect body and perfect soul. But then she also keeps saying, like, oh, I just have to, you know, wait a little bit longer and it'll be done, you know? So yeah, like, she gets put into the level 6 thing, and then that's when, like, remember, up to this point, how we conceive of what is going on after episode 8 is that this girl may or may not have deliberately let her body be taken over by a golem soul obeying the desires of the Rosenthal family, which is itself pretending to be her. It's pretending to be the girl and putting on this attitude of being like this over-the-top kind of villainous personality, even though the actual golem itself is very, like, reserved and, like, you know, it's a computer program, basically. Like, it communicates like a computer program that is running a simulation of the girl's personality. You know, but, like, also being totally different from how she seemed to be before. It's fucking weird. But anyways, it turns out that the golem soul itself is actually under control of a devil, of a demon. And this is revealed after it's put into the level 6 body. The demon reveals itself and says, oh yeah, I am actually the soul of one of the earlier members of the Rosenthal family. Not the original, but like one of the ones down the line.
Corrupted,
one of
evil bastards.
The ladies who fucking had been the leader of the family at some point.
Lady? You thought that was a chick?
I think it was a chick, right?
I don't think so.
Because didn't it show her at the end? Like, it shows what she literally looked like, and she was like an older lady, right?
I don't know. I thought that it was a guy.
No, I think they show like an overlay of what her face, like what her real face would look like. They show the character.
They have like a little backstory of them.
No, that was the original house leader had the backstory. It was just like another person in the Rosenthal line who didn't have a backstory at all, I don't think.
No, I thought that the original Rosenthal was like trying to help people, but people were so disgusted because they were reviving bodies that they kicked them out. And then the person that took over the golem spirit, or like whatever, the devil, was a later family member who was just kidnapping like important people and just like turning them into like monsters.
Oh, is that who that?
Yeah, and
I didn't remember that part.
Do you remember like the zombie attack where like he ripped the faces off the people and they were like attacking the people?
I remember the zombie cooking show.
No!
Well, that was the other show. That was Lord Elveloy, right?
No, yeah, it was Lord...
Oh my god. There's so much
Dog
shit.
the Bounty Hunter, literally in that show.
In Lord Elveloy, there's a part where they go to a cooking show where a guy, like, shoots like, it's fake, but it's, like, supposed to be zombies are attacking him while he's cooking, and so he shoots them all with guns while they're approaching while he cooks with his magecraft.
Anime is incredible.
Yeah, this has been a weird fucking season, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the devil has taken over, and the devil reveals dramatically that that this whole time he's been inside that sigil, like, oh yeah, I took over this thing long ago. You've just been carrying me around, and the only reason that your friend, this girl, killed herself is that she knew you were around. You had this spirit on you that could be used to that she could use to revive herself. But she had no idea there was a demon inside of it. None of this would have happened if not for the fact that you were here. The girl wouldn't have killed herself if she didn't know there was a necromancer, and she wouldn't have put this soul inside of her, and the devil wouldn't have taken over. So it's kind of all the necromancer girl's fault, you know? Like, none of this would have happened if not for the fact that she participates in this dark art of necromancy.
Well, which, I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that, but it's also the original girl who killed herself's fault for, like, you know, calling her to the fucking facility.
There's a clusterfuck of blame, but
it's like she's weirdly, like, the necromancer is weirdly, like, called upon by some higher-ups to, like, go work for this organization, and it's, like, a very, like, she doesn't really know who it was, and I'm sure it's because the girl, like, learned about it.
Does this all sound convoluted yet? Because it certainly was like, oh my god, like, it keeps going. It keeps getting, like, it already seemed like, holy shit, when you found out there was the golem soul inside the girl. When you find out that the devil is possessing the golem, and that even it is not in control of itself, that's when you're like, holy fuck.
And the craziest thing is the 10,000 souls.
Yes.
That, you know, in order to reach, like, the god status in, like, reincarnation or whatever, you have to have, like, so many, like, you have to have experienced so many
10,000
deaths.
times. And which is, I couldn't tell, okay, this is something that I'm not sure if this was meant to be a coincidence, or if it is exactly why they had done the project in the first place. Because, yes, they say that you have to die 10,000 times, so if you had the memories of 10,000 deaths, you'd be able to do this. And this devil had no idea that this had happened in the city. They found out and then went, oh, there's records? There's 10,000 memories of the same person dying, just happens to be logged in this city? Oh, I'll use that. So, like, which leads me to wonder, okay, well, did they know that when they had Accelerator kill 10,000 clones? Like, is that going to turn out to have been part of their motivation? Because it seems like you can reach level 6 that way.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know, because I'm pretty sure Accelerator, the manga, is written by the same guy who writes the light novels and the other manga. I think he writes absolutely everything in the fucking franchise.
And Heavy Object.
Which
the characters are always reading.
Yes, fucking Accelerator is constantly reading volumes of Heavy Object throughout the show.
It's great. It's all a rich tapestry.
So in any case, whether or not it was the intention, I mean, obviously the author had not thought of all this back when he created the 10,000 deaths. I think he just thought it was a crazy sounding number. But, you know, it's not too late to retcon it that this is what they were trying to do all along, you know.
Right.
Nonetheless, if that was the case, they do not clarify that in the show. It just so happens this demon knows about the 10,000 deaths and wants to use it to reach level 6. So, I also want you to keep in mind that the girl, the sister, the one who the demon is possessing the body of, is in her underwear the entire time. Like, the body that has been possessed, you know, she killed herself in her underwear. She was put into the coffin in her underwear. She was brought back to life in her underwear. She's been hanging out with her brother in her underwear. And now that the demon has been revealed, and it's like, basically the top half of her body is just coming out of this, like, weird, like, vaginal looking...
Imagine the smell. That's all.
She's like, it's like basically throughout the entire last 5 episodes, it's just the top half of her body coming out of this weird thing as she turns into this gigantic, like, Lovecraftian blob monster that like takes over it's like the size of a building, right?
Yes. And she keeps screaming how she has a perfect body and a perfect soul.
Yes, she says, I have achieved a perfect body and perfect soul, which it's really funny on multiple levels because like her so-called perfect body is this gigantic Lovecraft monster, but it's also that she's in like a really hot teenage girl's body with nice tits and like her soul is that of like a demon infused with a bunch of other shit. It's fucking weird, man. But the reveal of the demon was another really hype moment, and just like the reveal of the fact that like none of this would have happened if not for the just, you know, the fact that the necromancer girl was involved at all. Mm-hmm. Good dramatic stuff. So then it basically becomes, alright, so the big demon has been revealed, and she uses this crazy power where it seems like she has to kill a bunch more people and absorb their souls or something. It's not complete. For whatever reason, even though she has the perfect body and perfect soul, there still has to be some charging up done. And in that charging up time, for the last few episodes, the main characters, you know, launch their offensive. The necromancer girl has this like special dagger that uniquely is able to kill the soul of that golem. So she has to stab her with that, but she also is like afraid because she doesn't know if there's a possibility that the real girl's soul is still in there somewhere. And there's like, it's kind of clever because they didn't make it so they had to like overly hint at it, you know?
Right.
It's like, it was believable that she might just be more evil than anybody gave her credit for, you know? That like, maybe she wanted it to go this way, maybe not, it's hard to say. And the brother has just completely fucking lost his mind. So he's just, like, on board for whatever, because he is convinced that, like, her initial intention is wrapped up in there somewhere. Like, he's convinced because it's the only way he can, you know, he just wants her to come back to life, whatever it takes.
Right.
And, like,
and he's conveniently, like, passed out when she says that, like, she had taken the demon's soul paper, whatever, the fucking...
Yeah, so, like, so it all just basically culminates in a big action scene, you know. Accelerator's, like, he at no point is worried about any of this. He's just like, oh, I could end this all myself, but I want you to do it so you can, you know, get over your... Because, you know, the necromancer girl's, like, blaming herself and shit, and he's like, hey, you know, you could blame yourself, or you could fucking bring this all to an end, you know, and save your friend's soul. So she kills the demon, the friend's... It seems like the friend's soul is saved. She dies, of course. Her body, like, dissolves.
She also stabs the older brother.
Oh, she had stabbed the older brother beforehand.
Yeah.
The necromancer girl had stabbed the brother, and he eventually bleeds out and dies.
Scene.
And, Shadow is the light! The OP of Accelerator, if you put Shadow the Hedgehog in it, would make exactly the same amount of sense, if not more sense. So, overall, my review of Accelerator, I would say it had highs and lows all the way through. When it reached its highest point, episode 8 was actually sincerely really good. I was surprised. That was one of the best episodes of anime of the season, just for being really well directed, well acted, well staged. You know, just a cool episode with a great reveal. it made the plot way more complicated. Because up to that point, it was just kind of like, oh, whatever. The plot, I don't really care. I just want to see cool powers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I was like, wow, the plot's actually interesting. But then, like, you know, it continued to get more weird and complex, which was also cool. But then, like, the big final battle was just like, all right, well, we're just wrapping this up at this point. Like, who gives a fuck, you know?
And it spanned a lot of episodes.
Yeah. The whole arc was definitely more padded than it needed to be. But at the same time, again, it was nice to just get, like, an arc that was so fully realized, you know?
Right.
Which you don't usually get from these
And it dovetails right into, next season hints.
Yes. The show did not leave any room to be like, oh, that's it. That's the end of the story. It's like, nah, dog. There's more going on behind the scenes. Who knows? So overall, I would give it like a strong 7 to a light 8. I would have probably thought it was like a strong 6 to a light 7 earlier in the show. Particularly when we got to like the facility and it was just a bunch of fighting. Mm-hmm. It was like, yeah, this is entertaining, but it's also stupid. But after all the devil shit, man, it was memorable. I'm not going to forget the 30 car pileup of different souls inhabiting the same body of this girl who, again, may I remind you, is just in her fucking bathing suit like the entire, or in like underwear the whole show. So, yeah, it was a good time. I think that's it for this episode, right?
It is.
All right, everybody.
Miguel out.
Miguel out.